Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. So my name's Laine, and as you've probably seen in the title, I'm going to talk about my experience at Laine Theatre Arts.
Enjoy!
I don't know whether you guys are acquainted with how Audition usually runs their courses, but this was quite a crazy one for many reasons. So let's get into it. So, the day began at around 9 o'clock. I got into the building and got greeted by this amazing cohort of current students who were student helpers. And it was amazing. They were really lovely, bantering, joking and all of that. That was really lovely. Took my name. We then got taken to this really massive studio, sat down. There must have been upwards of 100 people. It was crazy, as well as parents. So quite a few people.
I forgot to mention that this was a boys only day.
And sat down and we began to watch this 25-minute long promo video of Laine. And at first I was just like, what is this? No, but really, what is this? Usually in auditions you literally get in, they hurry you get changed, and then you literally go into the audition and that's it. There's no time for anything else. And then Miss Betty Laine came out herself, as well as some current head of departments and senior members of staff and students. So that was kind of crazy. And we started doing a Q&A, which actually turned out to be the most useful thing on the planet. It wasn't your type of like trivial Q&A that was just over your head, didn't really matter. She was really super engaged and she really wanted to answer a question, and she was begging people to ask a question. She was like, this is the time, this is the moment, and it was amazing. Once that ended, we were then divided into 8 groups, I believe, and I was group number 3, and we were then escorted to our individual changing rooms. So Laine Theatre Arts audition has 3 dance schools. So the first one is actually your own choice. You can either do classical ballet or you can do commercial jazz. Then you all have a musical theatre jazz taught by an external member of staff, which is really cool. And then you have the solo piece that you've prepared beforehand. Workshop number 1. Now, I chose commercial jazz because my ballet, well, you know. Now, in the email that was sent prior to, explaining the whole audition day and everything, I actually read it wrong. And I thought it was jazz, as in technical jazz, as opposed to commercial jazz, because of the way it was written, and I just didn't get it. And you know, when you're like in your ballet gear, you can't do hip hop, or if you're like in your street gear, you can't do ballet. It was one of those where I had like my jazz, like I had a little leotard on, and I had my shorts, and luckily I bought my trainers so that I could travel to the studio. But I had my foot thongs on, so that was kind of like bizarre. And I just put my trainers over them just so that I could walk. But luckily I bought them, and I also bought a checkered shirt just in case I get cold. So literally as soon as I realised it was commercial jazz, I just put like my checkered shirt around my waist, put my trainers back on, and I was like, right, let's do this. So that went okay. There was like literally 7 of us, because everyone else, as you can imagine, would have chosen ballet. So it was really nice, really super intimate. It was taught by Aaron, who's I love this choreo, it was amazing. The audition would have taken, I would say, about an hour and 15. We were then taken back into the changing room, got changed, and it was time for the singing audition. Workshop number 2. So the singing audition was actually really cool. We got taken to another studio. I got changed because I sweat buckets. So we got into the room. We then proceeded to do a massive vocal warm-up with the entire group, which was super nice. And then we learned a song from Guys and Dolls, Luck Be a Lady. Luckily I knew it before. It was one of my very first musicals, so I was like, yeah. We learned the song, we workshopped it a bit, we talked about the meaning of the song and where it came from and blah blah blah. Very few people who actually knew the song, could put their hand up and talk about it. But even people who didn't know anything, I think they really wanted to see engagement, and they didn't really care whether you knew what it was. They just wanted to see your participation. Luck Be a Lady, a lot of people think it's one thing, but actually it's another in the context of the musical. But I think they're just the 2 panelists, because there was a pianist who was the head of music, and the artistic director was also in the room. And they were just looking for engagement, for compatibility, for things like that, more than do you know what you're talking about, because obviously you can't know every single musical known to man. On top of that, especially musicals that were written 70 years ago. But I'm still glad I knew it really well. I mean, I wrote a paper on Guys and Dolls, actually. Once we did that, we went back into the changing room for a quick, 15-minute break to cool down, to eat, to drink, do your thing, go to the toilet, blah, blah, blah. We then got escorted to yet another studio, and that's when we did the acting. Workshop number 3. Now the acting. The acting was actually one of my favourite ways of auditioning acting in musical theatre. As opposed to doing monologues, because monologues, I love doing monologues, don't get me wrong, but they're so difficult because in the context of just you being there, it never happens. You'd never just be talking alone. Even if you've got that amount of lines, you'd always be talking to somebody, or you'd always be doing something, but you'd never be standing in the middle of a room delivering a speech. That really rarely happens, apart from maybe in Shakespeare, but then even so, you still got so much going on. Okay, so what they did, which was absolutely amazing, is that a month prior to the audition, they sent out 2 scripts, and we didn't have to learn them, although I did, because I'm that kind of boo. They're basically asked to familiarize ourselves with the material so that we could workshop it. So we had one of the, I think she was a senior member of the acting department, and she kind of workshopped it a little bit with us. She talked about it. We talked about the accent, because it's a very specific accent. It's like old New York, 1950s. We then got divided into lots of different groups within that, and we each performed it. And they were coming around, making sure that we talked to each other. I think they were looking to see whether we were good company members, which is actually really good. It's a really good quality to have, as opposed to just, can you act, can you sing, can you dance? But even if you just want to be a dancer, you still need to be a good co-dancer. You still need to be a good person to work with. So it's really nice that they look for the plus, as opposed to you just being a triple threat, which is amazing, but we need more. Then every single group performed their little piece, which was super cool, and we all sang the song that we'd learned in the previous workshop, which was Like Be a Lady, together with the accent, with the scene, and it was like this. It matched. It was gorgeous. I was like, yes. Literally 5 hours at Laine, and I'm already ready to go on stage. I'm ready. I was like, yes, this is for me. I'm loving this, blah, blah, blah. Once that was over, I literally went to the panel. I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. It was amazing, because I enjoyed it so much. We then got escorted by student helpers again to the changing room. Got changed, and this time was a bit of a bigger break. I think it was about half an hour. Got changed, which was good for me because I needed to get changed. I needed my dance belt. Onwards to the big dance course. Workshop number 4. Now the big dance course, you literally had everyone on the panel. Miss Laine was right there in the middle. You had all the heads of every single department, as well as some senior members of staff and some external people. Literally the whole shebang was there. This workshop was taught by Matt, who was a former Laine student, and he was the original Aladdin in Aladdin the Musical, and I loved him. I went to see him twice, and he's amazing. Hashtag career goals. So this was your typical dance call. So literally started with a big warm-up with everyone. One of the very first thing that one of the panelists told us is, I really want to see you engaged, even in the warm-up. I hate to see people doing jumping jacks or burpees or whatever and just looking dead. Even if you're nervous and that, just practice your fake smile. And she was just like so encouraging and just like giving us life. And she was like, I don't care about your lines. We can teach you that. I've got 3 years for that. I just want to see that you're ready to learn, blah, blah, blah. And I just love that, just a little, and because some of the guys were talking and they were like, oh, dancing, blah, 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 I'm a bit scared. And she just came, gave us the power. So we walked in, did the massive warm-up. I was sweating. Luckily, I bought like 4 change of clothes because I needed it, literally. Then we did some corner work, which were your kicks, your pirouettes, double on each side, minimum, if not triple, if not quadruple, if not more. Grand jetés, box splits, all of that. Now, my name starts with a G, Gapomo, G-A-P-O-M-O. And I am so used to it. My entire life, I've always been in the middle. I've never been first. But because of the way the groups were cut, the first 2 groups had A to A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I'm guessing that the first 2 groups had from A to F in terms of surname. And so I was first. No. I was first. I'm so not used to that. And because you're so used to being in the middle whenever you do any type of auditions, I don't want to say that I wasn't listening, but I wasn't listening. Sue me. Like, I was listening, but I wasn't paying like as much attention as I would have had I really registered it in the fact that I was first. And also, I'm just used to being in the middle, so that means that I'm used to like always watching people doing it first and me kind of like marking it on the side. I'm just so used to doing that. But no, I was first. Oh, and also something that I forgot to mention, my right foot had sprained literally a couple of weeks before that, and so I came with like a big ankle support and did the audition. Now I didn't say anything to the panel because you could see, and I was like, at the end of the day, I was literally like limping, and everyone was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" Like 100 times. I was taught never to come in an audition and be like, "Oh, I've got this," or "I'm sick," or blah blah blah. So I didn't say anything, especially from the fact that you could see it. Everyone was okay with me. I gave as much technique as I could possibly do in my life, and gave so much personality, because also I'm not flexible. So when everyone was like high kicking over there, I was doing 90, 45, 95, 45. 100, 45. So we did our chord work, obviously right and left, and then we got called back into the middle of the room, and we started to learn the choreo, which was for me the final ultima from Aladdin, which was sick. But apparently each and every single group learned a different dance. I think only 2 groups got to learn my dance. How insane is that? And everybody else got to learn another dance. I love that. And I'm so glad I knew the song. I've listened to that soundtrack a few thousand times, and I was so happy because it's one of those really bitty instrumental bit. So that was really super cool. Did that. After that workshop, I was knackered. I was so tired. I was done for. I was dead. We then got taken back into our rooms, and I think we had like a 45-minute break. So that was so needed. I had my banana. I had my snacks. Went to the toilet, got changed again, because sweaty again. Right after the break, we were told to go in a sort of carousel motion. So you either had your dance school, your last dance school, or the singing. Number 5. Now the singing for Laine at my audition, they told us to bring one piece of musical theatre of your choice. So it could literally be legit, it could have been contemporary, it could have been rock, it could have been anything, just as long as it was musical theatre. They obviously asked us to learn the full song, but to prepare to have a cop from 16 to 64 bars. Yes. So I actually had singing first, so I decided to go into a more sophisticated looking. No, I had suit trousers on, which were kind of flexible, but there were suit trousers. I had like proper shoes, and I just had like a t-shirt, so I just looked a bit more done. I looked a bit more clothed and a bit more presentable, and I just did that because again, it's like what you wear just really changes everything, and I don't want to be in a room singing in like dance wear. I don't know, it's just like, if I can help it, I'll change. Obviously it's fine, you have to do what you have to do, you know, because that's what we do. I'll get changed and I'll do me.
Moving on, I was right outside the singing audition room.
There were literally about 3 people ahead of me, and one of our student helpers came in a panic, and he was like, oh my, not in a panic, but he was like, you know, ooh. And he came to me and he was like, Miss Laine is in the singing audition. And everyone was like, oh my god, Miss Laine is in the singing audition, because apparently she's usually in the dancing to see your dance solo. And lots of people were like obviously sad. They were like, oh, I really wanted Miss Laine to see my dancing. But I thought it was so nice because singing is what I'm good at. There was a bit of a commotion, and you know, not a tension in the air, but the air was heavy, and everyone was like, oh my god, Miss Laine is in the audition room. So they were literally calling me to go in because they were ready for me, as in the student helper called me in. And my student helper, who was there from the beginning, he was like, listen, Laine, you go inside, you give yourself to the pianist, you get yourself in the middle of the audition room, and you say, good afternoon, Miss Laine, good afternoon, everyone. And I was like, oh, I've literally done the foundation course, I know how to audition, like, I'll be fine. And then he was like, no, Laine, listen to me. You go up to the pianist, give him your stuff, go in the middle of the room, say, good afternoon, Miss Laine, good afternoon, everyone. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, I'm not going to do that because that's rude. That's rude to the other members of the panel. Because literally, you come in on the other side of the room and they're all there. So I was like, I can't ignore them, go in a room and ignore them. But luckily, now that I know, as I came into the room, they were all talking amongst each other, and the pianist just got my attention. It's like, hi, come. Really lovely chap. You know, talk to him about my P's, the tempo, blah-de-blah, do you know it, all of that. Luckily, he knew it really well. So he was like, great. I was like, great. He was like, great. I was like, great. Got in the middle of the room, and she looked at me, and none of the other teachers looked at me. So I said, good afternoon, Miss Laine. good afternoon, everyone. And she was like super happy. She gave me a nod and she starts talking to me. Hi, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, I'm really well, thank you. She's like, oh, how was your morning? Oh, because every time she asked a question, I was just like, okay, she's just asking a courtesy question, then we'll move on straight to the audition. But she kept going into it, like, how was your morning? I was like, really well. Oh, what did you think of the jazz? What did you think of that? I was just really shook. I was like, this woman is having a conversation with me. Then she looked down onto my sheet, because obviously, when you send in your application, she has a printout version of that, as well as my headshot, my name, all of my details. And then she looked down, obviously my date of birth is on there, and she goes, 22. And I go, no, I'm 20. Oh, yeah, today, yeah. As of today, I'm 22. And she goes, ha! And proceeds to sing happy birthday to me. And she, as what the pianist was playing for me, the whole panel was singing for me. And I was like, if I don't get in, if I die now, I'm fine, So I was already like ecstatic. Like I was like, I've just got in. She's asking me like how I am, but not like, oh, how are you? Like really, how are you? Like, do you know what I mean? There's a difference. She sings happy birthday to me and I'm like, oh my God, I just get so happy inside, like you're just glow. And I was comfortable. That's the thing. That's the key. I was comfortable. I was relaxed. I was chill and I was ready. Do you know what I mean? Sings happy birthday to me and she's like, oh, like well done, as in well done for being 22 and auditioning, because a lot of people, after like 20 they don't even bother anymore. And I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do, ma'am. So then she starts asking me, where are you from, blah blah blah. So I'm like, Belgium. She's like, interesting. Then she asks about my family, my parkour, and I go, well, I've got like that many cousins. I've got tons of cousins. I've got like nearly 52 cousins. And she goes, interesting. And then she writes it down, so I'm just like, what? And just asks me loads of facts about myself, and every time she's like, interesting, but that's got nothing to do with musical theatre. And she writes it down and then she's like, are you on Facebook? I love that. I thought that was so funny. I was like, I've been in this room for 10 minutes and I've not even sung yet, and I'm having the best time of my life. Laine, yes please. Then she asks, because I think that's actually one of the questions. She goes, do you play an instrument? Do you have any musical training? Well, I say yes. I played the drum till grade 8, and I'm self-taught piano, but I would say I'm grade 4 or 5. And she goes, oh, you play piano? And I go, yeah, I play piano. And she goes, why don't you play something? And I'm like, what? So I go on the pianist. The pianist's like, oh, yeah, have a seat. Get myself comfortable. And I was like, what do you want? And she was like, well, didn't you say you did music A-level and GCSEs? I was like, yes, so you compose. I was like, yes. Well, then do one of your composition. I was like, okay. So I start playing, blah, blah, 30 seconds. And she stops me and she looks at me. And she goes, well, aren't you going to sing? And I go, oh, okay. So I start playing and I sing. I just play like literally a verse and a chorus. And she goes, interesting. And she writes things down. Also, it was a good way to test my voice and make sure that, because if I make a mistake on the piano, I can just be like, well, I'm playing the piano and I'm singing. So, but so it was good. I was like, all of that. Went back in the middle of the room. I thought, okay, now I'm going to start my song, my audition piece. And she goes, well, didn't you say you played the drums also? And I go, yeah. And then she looks around. This is a dance studio. It's not a music studio or anything. So she looks around, obviously no drums. And she grabs her phone as though she was going to call for a drum to come in. And then I think he's the head of music. I'm not too sure. He goes, oh, Miss Laine. And he points out the clock. And she goes, okay, fair enough. And then she goes, what are you going to sing for me? And then she goes, I hope you're going to give me a good, great, big voice. And I'm like, no pressure. And I was like, yeah, sure. Look at the piano, give him the signal, get into my, zone, into my mode so that I can sing it. I sing the whole song, blah, blah, blah. Fun. I thought I sung it well, like, to my standard. As soon as I do my last big note, she goes, interesting. Writes things down, blah, blah. I thought that was it. I did my one song like they requested. And then she goes, do you have your rep folder with you? And I go, yes, I do. And then I just heart attack, because I was like, I've got about 10 songs in my rep folder, but I only know 4. And she was like, oh, well, let's hear another song. And I was like, whoa. And the pianist already took my folder and started going through. And so I run to the pianist and I'm like, oh, let me. So the pianist was going through my rep folder and he finds a song. which I can't see because I'm on the other side of the piano. And he looks at Miss Laine and he goes, Miss Laine, how about this song? How about Lug Be a Lady? And she goes, no. And she goes, I want a love song. And I'm like, okay, great. How about this song? And she's like, yeah, go on. And I go back in the middle of the room and I was like, oh God, I hope I know the lyrics. Because, you know, like usually in my audition, I would have like gone through everything I needed to go through in the train, make sure everything was smooth and good and calm and all of that. So I start singing my song, do the whole song, do my big last note, which is extremely high. So I'm singing up there in the gods as though it was in the theatre. And I look back down and I see two members of the panel crying and Miss Laine just like nodding her head. And I'm like, oh God, what's happened? And she just looks at me and she goes, see you in September. And I start breaking down. You know, like I was just like, what? So sidetrack, I was doing a foundation course 2 years ago and my head of foundation said, oh, you know, where are you auditioning, blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, I'll do Mount View, obviously arts, I'll do, you know, loads of other schools. And she was like, oh, why don't you do Laine? And I was like, I'm Laine, like come on, that's such a dancer school. I was just like, obviously I'm not gonna get in. And I just started to break down because I was literally like, what the actual hell? How has this happened? How has this happened? See you in September. I'm there crying in the middle of the room and she's like, okay, yeah, you know, you can go. And I take my rep folder. I'm like, thank you so much. And I was like, best birthday present ever. And then just as I'm about to leave, she's like, oh, you know, compose yourself. And don't say it, basically. Don't say it to anyone else. Which absolutely makes sense because you don't want to give people expectations or you don't want to, you know, I don't know, it's not the right thing to do. So I absolutely understand it. And she was like, you know, like obviously I was crying. So she was like, oh, you know, hun, get yourself together, make sure you're not. So I was like, oh yeah, drying my tears. Get out of the room. There were literally 5 people just outside the door and they were literally like, and I was like, oh, could you hear me? Crying. Then I go out in the parking lot, literally leave the building, into the parking lot, and I call my mum and I'm like, Mummy, I did it. And she's like, oh my God. The main admin, Sarah Carroll, comes out and she was just like, I wish I was in there. I just wanted to say, well done, blah, blah, blah. She gives me a hug and bless her because I was on the other side of the parking and she had a cast on one of her legs. She literally went all the way across limping and she was like, I just need to say well done. Gave me a big hug and she was like, by the way, what do you want to do? Because you still have your dance solo. Do you want to go in or? And I was like, oh, I don't know, I'm just frazzled, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, I can't wait to see you in September. I'm sorting everything out for you. Well done. So sweet. Like, this is the admin. I was on my phone and I was like talking to my mum, telling her the whole story, blah, blah. And I was like, I don't even want to do this solo. Like, I was literally shaking. And I was like, I'm not in a mental state to do my dance solo. And she was like, no, just do it. Just show them that, you know, you've got it. Do it. You paid £45 to do this audition. Do the whole thing. It doesn't matter anyway. Blah, blah, blah. Just go. So I was like, okay, thanks, Mum. Great advice. So go back in, get changed into my dance solo. And get changed, set up my phone. Because it's my own music, obviously, and I go and I wait. And then the student helper, he wasn't outside my singing audition, but he literally from the get-go, bless him, he was like rooting for me, answering all my questions and being like, this is that. Literally every single person I was just like, who slapped you across the face for you to be that nice? Like, what's happened in your life for you all to be that good? Number 6. So I'm ready, I'm outside the studio, ready to do my final dance call. So I go in, I introduce myself, and just before I'd gone in, Sarah Carroll, the admin, gone in and told the panel. They were like, oh, so how's your day so far? And I was like, this is the best day ever. And he was like, no, but really, how's your day? But because literally like 20 minutes prior to, Miss Laine told me not to say it to anyone. And I wasn't 100% sure that Sarah Carroll had told them about me getting in. So I didn't want to be like, yeah, I got in. Do you know what I mean? Even though there were no students, I was just like, Miss Laine told me not to, so I will not. So I'm like, this is my song, blah, blah, blah. Who choreographed it? I did, all of that. So I go to the back, there was a third year student, again, student helper. She plugged in my phone. I was like, oh, this is how it works. I've unlocked it as well, just in case it locks and you need to do anything. She's like, so lovely. And she was so gorgeous as well. Everyone there is so gorgeous. And the style, the fashion. I mean, I know it's not a fashion school, but it could have been. Like, wow. Get ready. And and I start to dance. And within 30 seconds of me dancing and doing my pirouettes and all that, the music cuts, and then like it gets quieter, and then it gets loud again. And I carry on like I'm like, I know this song inside out, it's fine, blah blah blah. And it happens again 5 seconds later, and I'm like, carry on. And then 10 seconds after that, it happens again. So I turn around, I literally stop dancing. Don't ever stop dancing or stop singing for any reason. Literally, what the hell? Turn around and I'm like, yo, like I didn't say anything, but because I thought it was her messing with my phone. And then literally it just went dang. And I literally go, darn, my phone is not on mute. And it should be in airplane mode, but I've forgotten. I was like mortified, and I carry on, and I was lost because, you know, you do your song, and my song, I couldn't hear my song anymore, and you do your moves, and I stopped. So literally I stopped for like 3 seconds, but still you don't stop. Carry on, and I finally finished, and I'm out of breath, and I'm like, oh. And then somebody on the panel just went, do you want to start again? And I was like, nah. And I just left. I was so drained and so tired. And he was like, oh, don't worry. Like, he was like really on my side. He wasn't like, like I was so drained. And it wasn't me being a diva or anything. He could really see that I was not in a good mental state. Literally going from my best singing audition in my life to my worst dance audition in my life. It was insanity. So that was my day. We were meant to see a 30th showcase, but because something had run over, they cancelled it. So our student helper, he was like, whatever, we'll do something else. And he was just like, okay, I'll take you around the school. And I was like, do you know what? I would love that. Because I've been to other auditions and they've not really done that. And it's really good to see like everything. So he was like, this is that, blah, blah, blah. And then that was it. That was kind of the end of my audition. Which was so amazing. I had the best day, and on top of that, obviously it was my birthday, 26th of February. So it was just like, it was a dream come true. I was so happy, it was ecstatic, and I went straight to my best friend's house and I told her the whole story, and she cried because she's also a dancer. And then I went to get a Häagen-Dazs salted caramel tub, and I ate the whole thing because I think that day I lost about 4,000 calories, but I found them all again. Don't you worry about that. Okay, thanks ever so much for watching my video. If you liked it, do subscribe, do like, do comment. I'm gonna read them all. I'm gonna reply. If you've got any questions, I will be doing more videos about different auditions and explaining. But I just thought you just needed to know this because it was like just so out of the ordinary, and it was just my best day ever. Do follow me on Instagram, it's right there. That's where all the shebang happens, and can't wait to see you guys again. Goodbye. Meow. After all that, still don't know how to start it. Hi.
Oh, hey YouTubers! Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe.
And subscribe.
Absolutely.